Capital markets will continue to function. Let's not forget that.
Taking the UK out of the EU signals a change to firms as to the regulatory rules under which they operate and the way in which they interact with clients.
It's very difficult for firms how they respond to that, because how much time will you have to prepare?
Divorcing the largest capital market, that's nearly 50% of European capital raising, from the rest of Europe and then reconnecting in some way or other is clearly disruptive to the potential terms of capital raising in Europe.
Regarding market access, I think we're going to need a bespoke solution for the UK rather than one of these kind of bottled alternatives that currently exist.
It's very important for the UK-based banks to retain access to that single market, and an important negotiation for the UK government as well as for the EU 27 is to really think through how do you keep the flow of goods and services moving.
We need to negotiate across Europe and perhaps with individual countries in terms of you are good at this and this industry, we are good at that and that industry, and mutually we need to pull that together.
We should be planning, as everybody else should be planning, on the assumption that passporting for UK registered funds disappears. Now, if you don't plan on that basis, you're not planning against the worst possible outcome.
There are other factors as well around the way infrastructure is organised, the way solvency laws work, the way judgments are enforced. All these things are connected, and so we can't just take passports out and say, oh, that's the answer on its own. You could have some transition arrangements, there's precedent for that, and you would have thought that was in the interests of everyone.
We will be allowed to essentially operate within the European Union as long as the regulatory capital is there, the safeguards are there, the regulations are observed. All of that is a question of replumbing and repapering as opposed to a fundamental change.
There's a lot of work that needs to be completed, particularly around MiFID. There's going to be what's called CRD5, and then there's a raft of international issues around the so-called Basel agenda. So I do think it's really important that AFME remains focused on behalf of its members on that set of issues whilst we plan for and prepare for what is going to happen next phase on Brexit.